Thank you, Rahul, for being here. You know, the security issue has been front and center. I mean, 2 lawyers have been killed. They're concerned about security. There's obviously a legitimate concern here, but is this also about delay tactics?
Well, yes and no. I mean, obviously the defense wants to delay this trial as much as possible, but it's very important to know that the Iraqi tribunal is trying to accommodate the defense right now, but at the same time they don't want it to run amok either. And it's very important that the defense counsel is not given the rights to delay the trial unnecessarily. And I think you're seeing Ramsey Clark right now, the former U.S. Attorney General who's advising Saddam Hussein. You're seeing him trying to do that right now and trying to avoid the facts of the case and trying to focus on the procedural and technical defenses that they have right now.
Well, and there's also concern that, you know, political pressure to speed the process up. I mean, they're already talking about trying to streamline some of the procedures, prevent stalling, that kind of thing. There's concern that pressure will, at the end of the day, make this trial unfair.
It's absolutely right. You know, the Iraqis right now, the Baathists mostly, the people that are not loyal to the party, are trying to move this thing quickly, whereas the other side is trying to slow it down. But what you're seeing here is a tug of war between the two sides. The problem is that if this trial moves too quickly, the naysayers will have the ability to say that this trial was not fair. But if it moves too slowly, you'll have the converse. So it's very important to sort of balance both of the interests.
We've got a panel of judges here, not a jury. What are the pros and cons of that approach?
Well, right now the IST is following the civil system that's you know, common in about 100 nations around the world, where the judge is acting as an investigator as well as a fact finder and legal fact finder. So you're seeing a sort of a mix right now between international law and Iraqi law. But it's very important to note that this tribunal is following Iraqi criminal procedure, Iraqi criminal code, which is based on the Hammurabi Code of Iraq. And so they're trying to make sure that this is an Iraqi tribunal.
Yeah, and that, I mean,
really
on that point, I mean, the U.S. has been very vocal about, you know, saying that has been a priority. But is it a mistake to even be having this trial in Iraq?
Not at all. I think that there's many groups trying to clamor for moving it to The Hague or moving outside of it, you know, to Dubai, for example, for security purposes. But I think that if this trial were moved outside of Iraq, it would send the wrong message to the people that don't want this to happen. I think it would be sending a message that people are afraid and they feel that this is not going to go through properly. It really is important that this be perceived legitimately as an Iraqi tribunal with Iraqi law, Iraqi judges, Iraqi criminal code, and not really as an international criminal proceeding. After all, Saddam's alleged crimes were against the Iraqi people and not the international community per se. So it really shouldn't, it would be seen as kowtowing to the insurgents and the terrorists if this trial were moved outside of Iraq. And I think the Iraqi tribunal, the High Court, must stand pat and stay firm and remain within Iraq to see this thing through to the end.
We've got to wrap up pretty soon here, but I want to just go back to the issue of the defense tactic and strategy. I mean, what is the defense here? I mean, what would you say?
Good question. Well, right now the defense tactic is procedural, mainly. They're trying to derail the procedure as much as possible by focusing on the supposed illegitimacy of the tribunal, the supposed fact that Saddam Hussein should enjoy full governmental immunity under the previous Iraqi constitution. There's many defenses, but they really don't focus on the facts. The facts remain that the Dujail massacre of '82 was by far one of the most horrific reprisals against people for an assassination attempt. This is by no means mitigating the assassination attempt, which was, you know, which is horrible, but I think 400 people were arrested or killed, and I think 182. Many people were detained and were disappeared because of this, and I think that it was a sort of a raising after that happened. And I think that, you know, the orchards in the village were burned down. It was truly a very heavy response to something that should have been handled, I think, individually within the village.
All right, we have to leave it there. Rahul Manchanda, Thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.